Hi, I'm Colleen Coble. Welcome to Smitten Book Club. I wish we were all there together, but this will do since we can't be. And I am usually the opener for the Smitten stories. I like to set the stage and let everybody know where we are and take them away to Smitten, Vermont. So I hope you've enjoyed the journey with us. And if it were possible, we would be right there with you. It would be so fun to be all together discussing this and see what you think. But email us because we'd love to hear what you think. Of all the Smitten stories we've written, I think Smitten Book Club was my favorite. I'm a hopeless romantic, so it was fun to be able to advise those who haven't been married as long as I have on some romance that I think is important to know. So that was very fun. And then if you've read any of my other books, you know that I love mystery. So I grew up on Nancy Drew and just love mystery. So that was fun to really get to weave that in there. And I also love second chances, and that's what my story was about, and Heather's second chance. And that was just really fun for me to write. You're going to hear from the other two girls that are with us today, but I want to take just a minute and mention Diane Hunt, who lost her battle with ovarian cancer right after Thanksgiving. And this was her last story, and I think you're going to love it. I think it's her very best one yet, even though she was writing that in the middle of being very sick. She never missed a deadline, and I wish she were here to enjoy this with us. But I wanted to tell you that her book, For Better or For Worse, is going to be a Hallmark movie, and it'll be airing in October, and they've just started shooting it now. And her real pick for the hero, Marco, in For Better or For Worse, was Antonio Cupo, and so he's going to be playing that with Lisa Whelchel. So we're very excited about that. And if you really enjoyed Di's story in Smitten Book Club, which I think you will, if you haven't read it yet or you did, check out some of our other books. Start with Hot Flashes and Cold Cream and make your way into the rest of them. But again, I just want to say thanks for having us, and I hope you enjoyed the stories, and really email us. We would love to hear from you. So now you're going to hear from the rest of the girls.
Good morning. My name is Kristin Billerbeck, and I am the author of Shelved Under Romance, which is the second novella in your Smitten Book Club. And I just wanted to thank you for having us and be a part of your morning, and I hope your brunch is going wonderfully well. I wanted to give the background of my story, Shelved Under Romance, and it comes from a trip to our local library. My children needed to go to the library, and our library is a very busy place. It's somewhere you probably need to walk because there is rarely any parking there, and even on a Friday night, it is a happening place to be. And while that's wonderful for the libraries of Silicon Valley, I know that other libraries don't enjoy such popularity. And I was lamenting that my childhood library was such a quiet and wonderful place for an introvert who got lost in books. And I had an early love of the classics, and I used to, find a corner at the library, and nobody would ever bother me. I could read with a book in my lap, and I could walk home. And, it was just a different time and a different world. And there was a librarian there who would help me. I had an early love of the classics, like I said, and I was a big Jane Austen fan. And I remember I wanted to find her more obscure titles, like Lady Susan and Northanger Abbey. And the librarian said, well, I don't understand why you want to read that. It's not her most popular work. And, it's not like today where Jane Austen has this resurgence of popularity and people just love her. Back in the day, they didn't just carry all of Jane Austen's work. You had to find it, and it was pretty obscure. And so I remember she went through a lot of work and to help me find these obscure titles. And I was so grateful. And I wanted to write a book that really celebrated that kind of librarian and how they have such a personal interest in people who love books, and how much I miss that personalized service. And I know Colleen, for example, still gets that personalized service at her library, but ours is just almost like a machine. It's so big and powerful. And so I wanted to write a story that really celebrated the librarians of old and the libraries of old, and just be grateful for the love of books and how it was grown in me thanks to a librarian. So Abby, my heroine, is a librarian, and she is lost in books, and the hero must bring her out of her books and help her have a little adventure in life. So that's the background of my story. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Denise Hunter, and I hope you all are having a wonderful time at today's brunch, and I hope you all enjoyed Smitten also. I am the closer on the Smitten novels, so I wrote Molly's story, which is Happily Ever After, and part of what I wanted to talk about was the way the story was developed, kind of the story behind the story. I ended up writing or starting my novella before the other three ladies did. It's just the way it worked out. These things can always work chronologically because we're all on our own. We have other deadlines with other novels, so it just worked out that I was starting mine before everybody else. So I was probably 3/4 of the way finished when Colleen started hers, and she wrote the first story in the Smitten Book Club. So she got maybe a few chapters in, and she wrote us girls and said, "Hey guys, I think something's missing here. It doesn't feel right." And I was kind of feeling the same way, so we decided at that point to add the whole gold mine part of the story, the mystery thread with Pearl's book and the epigraphs and everything. So that added a little bit of a problem for me because I was already 3/4 of the way through the book. So I went back and I added some chapters and all of that thread, and you might have noticed that my story is a lot longer than the other 3 stories in the book, and that's why, because I had to go back and add that thread in, and I was already going to be about at my top word count, and then I went ahead and added all the goldmine stuff and Pearl's book into it. And another thing that's interesting, that you might find interesting, is that initially we were going to use our favorite books, or in Molly's case, movie, and use lines from those for the epigraphs instead of the Pearl book. But so what we did was, I had already done my favorite movie, which is You've Got Mail. So I had all the You've Got Mail quotes and everything up to 3/4 of the way through the book. So I got rid of those, and I added the epigraphs from Pearl's book. And so you might find throughout the book there are little lines in there. If you're a fan of You've Got Mail, you might notice a few little lines like just around the corner and that kind of thing that I threw in there just for fun. But that's basically the story behind the story on Happily Ever After. I hope you enjoyed it.